Bam. My peoples. My peoples. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Box Center. I'm your host, Jay Smith. We're going to do what we do, my people. We're going to talk boxing. Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is going down in 2 weeks. That's it. All the predictions, all the trash talking, all the back and forth, all the hating on Terrence Crawford. We're going to find out how this fight really plays out. Salute to everybody who's already jumping in the building, showing love. I know y'all want to argue, trash talk, debate about Bud versus Canelo. We got to do it. 2 weeks away, my peoples. We've been going at it for 2.5 months already at this point. 2.5 months going back and forth. Right around the corner. Javier Hernandez. Many individuals assume that Crawford does not have a chance of winning. My personal opinion is that Crawford is a tough fighter and he does have a chance. He always comes prepared and always is ready. Agree with you 100%. I mean, it seems like the scales have been tipping lately. I've seen a lot of professional fighters, say that they got Crawford winning this fight. I've seen a lot of coaches and now a lot of fans are also. It seems like by the time we get to the fight, Canelo's not going to be that much of a favorite based on how many people are saying Crawford is going to win the fight. Toy Mafia, salute, bam. JJ's in the house. Good morning, Jay Smith. You already know what it is, JJ. We in the building. We talking Terrence Crawford. We talking Canelo Alvarez. It's going down in 2 weeks. 14 days to go. John Parham in the building. Salute. Bam. I think it's real interesting that these two fighters are going to end up facing each other, taking into account the road that they both have taken to get to this point. JJ's in the house. Crawford is going to get some birthday money. Look, I'm super excited for Terrence Crawford, and the reason that I'm so happy for him is because he's that fighter who's been hated on the whole time. You guys seen it. People discredit every one of his opponents, try to diminish his accomplishments. The guy goes all the way to the pound for pound #1 spot and still has a bunch of people who try to discredit him. So to see him get to this level where he's the guy, one half of the fighters that's going to be in the ring in the biggest fight in boxing. Well deserved, but it hurts some feelings. There's a lot of people that didn't want to see him there. When I made that, when I'm not gonna say a prediction because I didn't predict this fight was gonna happen, but I said I wanted it to happen. And all these people who told me he doesn't deserve the fight, he's not gonna fight Canelo because there's weight classes for a reason. The people who told me all those things, the naysayers, they've never mentioned it again. They disappeared into the mist, into the fog. I don't know where they went. John Pound, as of now, Canelo is favored at 64. It was 72. I think it's going to be closer. Honestly, with the way that it's been trending, I think by the time they get to fight night, Canelo's going to be below 60, in the 50s. Or maybe right at 60, maybe 60-40. But I think it's going to get closer. What I am seeing, though, is that Canelo, he does look very strong. When you see him, he looks sharp, obviously super focused. And the fact that he said Crawford is the best fighter I ever faced, that shows right there how seriously he's taking it. While you have fans, think about that. While you have fans discrediting Terrence Crawford, and saying that he's not all that, Canelo Alvarez is bringing in Jerome Bruce Ennis to training camp. Is saying this is the greatest guy I ever faced. So look at the difference between the reality of what's happening and what fans who don't like Crawford want to see. But I will tell you like this. I see a small group of people that's already making an excuse for Canelo Alvarez, right? You guys probably seen it. The guys that are saying that Canelo's already not the same anymore. And the folks who saying, well, Crawford is on snack and he's on steroids. Those people, guess what? That's a very small crowd right now. But remember that I told you this. When the fight happens and Crawford whoops that ass, that crowd is going to explode. Why? Because all these people, they scrambling. They're going to be trying to figure out, just like when Errol got pummeled, what are we going to say? This whole time we've been saying Canelo's going to knock him out. There's got to be an explanation why we was wrong about it. He had to be on steroids. Somebody already told me that the only way Crawford could win is if he's on steroids. So he already got his excuse right there on deck, ready to go. But that also tells you about the fake confidence. I know what fake confidence look like. You over explain, over speak. What? You're gonna kill him? Oh, he's gonna knock him out in the second round or in the third. That's that fake confidence. That's that fake. Now, I know that there's Canelo fans, and even people who are not Canelo fans will see him winning. Will say, no, look, I think that his body punching is gonna do the work. He's gonna slow him down. He's gonna break him down. That's reasonable. That's what Canelo's done throughout his whole career. So to say that Canelo's gonna beat Crawford with, the same things that he's been doing, that's reasonable. But to say that he's gonna wash him and knock him out in 1 or 2 rounds, that's that fake confidence. Those are the same folks that already got their excuses ready to go. Because I just want to point out when Terrence Crawford was gonna fight Canelo Alvarez, when Terrence Crawford was gonna fight Errol Spence, it was a small crowd that was making excuses. Like, yo, nah, he's gonna lose. He's gonna lose because he's not the same. Most people were saying that Errol was gonna pummel Crawford and stop him and all this crazy stuff. In a small group, nah, Errol Spence wasn't the same. But after the fight finished, that little group of people that was saying Errol wasn't the same exploded. Now the entire PBC fan base and 99.9% of the fan of the Tankomaniacs will tell you that Errol wasn't the same. But none of them was saying that before the fight. All of them was telling you that Bud was gonna get knocked out. So we're seeing exactly the same narrative play out right now. There's no difference, my people. John Parham, I was about 90% sure about Canelo, but after some of your breakdowns, I'm about 70% sure. I think before we get to fight night, we're gonna get it closer. I think we're gonna get it closer to than that 70%. Jay Will, salute. Bam. JJ said, let's go. Some more likes in here, my peoples. 5 likes is diabolical. That means that some people went in, ducked, ducked, straight up Tank Davis kind of moves. But I digress. This is what I want you to take into consideration. All that I have analyzed to come to my conclusion that Terrence Crawford is going to win this fight. But first, I want to talk about the narrative. Because when I bring up the similarities between how people spoke about Canelo versus Crawford versus Errol, and now Bud versus Canelo, how it's the same narrative. People say, no, but Canelo's not the same as Errol. I'm not saying that, and I've never said that. My point is that when Terrence Crawford was going to fight Errol Spence, the narrative surrounding that fight was that Errol Spence was too big, Terrence Crawford was too small, Bud was not going to be able to handle that power, that pressure. Errol Spence was going to break him down to the body, slow him down, and stop him because he was too small. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Just be honest. Does any of it sound at least remotely familiar? Come on now. That was the whole narrative. So, in other words, regardless of whether or not Errol and Canelo are the same or not, nobody's mentioning that. We're talking about your narrative and your perception that Errol was bigger and stronger, and because of that, he was going to stop Crawford. How did that play out for Errol? The pummeling of a lifetime. So now, after you saw that and it hurt your feelings because you was wrong, now you want to be right with the same logic. Oh, nah. Because Canelo's bigger. This time he's moving up, and this time he's really bigger, and this time he's really stronger. Did you not learn that size and power is now what dictate the outcome of a fight? Well, what are we talking about? So now, Terrence Crawford is going to have to refresh your recollection. Your whole logic that you've been building upon to formulate an opinion is going to get crushed on fight night. That's the same logic that you have for Errol Spence. And then you had to watch him get beat up. Jay Smith, are you worried about the judges? Tim Cheatham. What? Don't tell me Tim the Cheater Cheatham is in the building. And Steve Weisfield are the judges. Both have scored fights for Canelo that were controversial. Yo, Tim the Cheater Cheatham. Nah, I don't know if they call him like that, but damn. He's been involved in some close ones, some strange ones. But I can't expect to win a close decision. I tell you what, man. Look, Canelo Alvarez is the face of boxing. Terrence Crawford is the fighter moving up, trying to accomplish what hasn't been accomplished. Right? I want to point something out real quick because when we speak about fighters who moved up multiple divisions, right? Some of us bring up the fact that Crawford is not the first guy to do it. But there's something that needs to be clarified. And here it is. Terrence Crawford is the first fighter to jump up two divisions and immediately challenge the champion. A lot of people don't even know that because it happened before our time. So if you wasn't even born or if you wasn't even following boxing when it happened, then it's okay if you didn't know. But when Sugar Ray Leonard jumped up two divisions, he didn't fight Marvelous Marvin Hagler right away. He actually fought a couple of opponents, beat their ass, and then went for the champ. The same thing with Roberto Duran. He didn't move up two divisions and fight Sugar Ray Leonard right away. He moved up two divisions, beat a couple of opponents, and then did what he had to do. Terrence Crawford is jumping up two divisions and going straight for Canelo Alvarez. You saw what happened to Jermell Charlo when he jumped up two divisions. He was out there fighting to survive, got beat up. Got beat up. He was there to survive. Crawford is doing the same thing. Not only that, Crawford moved up from 147. Mel Charlo been a 154 pounder. And he wasn't even competition. So think about the magnitude of what Terrence Crawford is attempting. JJ says, get Tim the fuck out of here. Tim, hold on, man. I gotta listen to what you gotta say. We gotta get Tim's goofy ass out of here. I don't see no 10, bro. I was looking for a 10, JJ. I was ready to get him the fuck out of here. John Parham, it's close. Definitely going to Canelo. Isn't he really going up 3 divisions if you really look at it? Look, honestly, I don't want to say that he's going up 3 divisions. I've heard people say that. I don't say it simply because the moment he became a reigning champion at 154, I don't want to hit no 3 divisions. That's it. He's a world champion in the 154 division. So he's not moving up 3, he's moving up 2. When we say 3, it will be an exaggeration. Jay Smith, Leonard came off 3 years inactive to fight Hager. First fight at 160. Yeah, but where was he fighting before that? I think it was like at 154, something like that. So all I'm saying is, look, there's a lot of accomplishments, brother. But what Terrence Crawford is doing, ain't nobody done it. Move up, boom, 2 divisions and go straight for the champion, ain't nobody done it. Everybody that moved up multiple divisions went and fought a couple of fights first. And then those who went straight for the champion, they got Mel Charloed. You saw what happened to Charlo. You saw what happened to Amir Khan when he tried to move up to and fight Canelo. Got pulverized. It's not easy. What Terrence Crawford is attempting to do is something that, nobody's done. Nobody's done it. Nobody jumped up 2 divisions and boom, dethroned the guy at the top. No tune up, no nothing. Just went straight up there, boom. Nobody's done it. So I think it's ironic that the fighter who gets discredited so much, who gets denied of that greatness that he has already shown, is the guy who's right now having the opportunity to have the biggest win in this era of boxing. There's nobody else that's gonna even come close to making that claim. And I say this era, but eventually when the time is right, we're gonna have to talk about all time. Where is that win gonna rank all time? JJ's in the house. Roy Jones. What do I'm lost, my brother. What are we saying about Roy Jones? And Roy Jones Jr. is a great fighter. He's an all-time great. He's an all-time great. Terrence Crawford, when it's all said and done, is going to be very high on the all-time list. He's going to be one of those fighters who people who understand the accomplishments, understand what he did, they're going to always have him very high. And then there's always going to be the haters who are going to, have build up a goofy narrative and say, no, Terrence Crawford, he's not that great, because he didn't do this and he didn't do that. That's the funny thing about the haters, my people. Let me tell you something. You recognize the hater when they always make everything seem negative. Like, think about it. Terrence Crawford moved up to 154, challenged an undefeated champion in Madrimov, beat him, and somehow they find a way to put a negative spin on that fight. Nah, yo, he got hit. He got hit. Bro, but that's an undefeated world champion. What the hell you expect to happen? Do you know anybody who did not get hit? And me, my people, put me on. I want to know who didn't get hit. Every single fighter in their career, in the history of boxing, has been hit. But Terrence Crawford got hit against Madrimov. He got hit. Look. Meanwhile, you trying to find a negative angle of a fight where he became a world champion in a new division. It takes my people a new level of hate. If you really think about it, come on now. A fight that he won. Look at the fights that people bring up about Terrence Crawford. Gamboa, That was over 10 years ago. Over 10 years ago. Mean Machine, what, 5, 6 years ago? And imagine, the first two he stopped them, and they didn't drop him. Staggered him for a bit, and he stopped him. Madrimov never hurt him at no point in the fight. So you're bringing up three fights that Terrence Crawford won, two of them by stoppage, and the third one moving up a division and beating a reigning world champion. Those are the three fights that you bring to find the negative angle. That shows you how good Terrence Crawford is. Because with Canelo Alvarez, I can tell you what, Floyd Mayweather whooped his ass. Dimitri Bivol sunned him. Had him looking like a little kid. Dished him losses. Multiple losses. We've seen Canelo get his ass whooped multiple times. And with Terrence Crawford, all you could do is bring up three fights. Two that he won by stoppage and another one that he won to be the reigning world champion. That's a different level of hate, my peoples. Come on now. John Parham. It's going to be fireworks. I believe it. I believe it is going to be fireworks. And it's going to be the type of fight similar to Dimitri Bivol versus Canelo Alvarez. It's going to be similar. And I've been saying it from the beginning the same way. That's why it's like I've been having deja vu. The same way that I was telling everyone, Crawford is going to put the beats on Arrow. Watch. I'm having that deja vu now. And it's like, yup. It's happening, my peoples. I try to warn you. I try to warn you. And guess what? When Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford was going to fight, I had just started making videos. I hadn't been making videos for that long, right? So I was in a stage where nobody knew me, nobody. And when I posted about that, people was like, man, this dude don't know shit about boxing. You don't know shit. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing. And after the fight, that was the first time where people who had tried to talk me down actually hit me up and was like, yo, Jay, my bad, B. My bad. I see what you were saying. I see the way the fight played out and everything you said. I respect you, Jay. That was the first time that happened. When they watched Terrence Crawford do what I've been telling them that he was going to do. I've been had said it. That's when they said, damn, Jay, you're right. I got your word. I feel you. I get it. John Parham. I don't think Floyd whipped Canelo. I think Canelo was too young at the time, respectfully. I disagree with you. Canelo was 23 years old. Off the top of your head, you could probably name over 10 world champions who was 23 or younger. Guys, look. Watch this. Watch this. Younger than 23 world champions. Oscar De La Hoya, Tito Trinidad, Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Tank Davis. I named you 10 fighters who became world champions by or before 23 years old. So to say that he was too young, that's weak. That's weak. He's a great fighter. Me and you, John, we agree that he's a great fighter. So if he's a great fighter, and we've seen what great fighters have accomplished, by or before 23, was he really too young? Hell no, brother. He was not too young. That's an excuse. And you see, John Palm, that's the thing that I've seen people tell me, well, with Canelo, he was too young. And with Bivol was too big. So we really have excuses for all of Canelo's losses. Might as well tell me he's undefeated. Fuck it. Fuck it. We got a real good excuse for his losses. J. Smith, if you were the boxer going into the biggest fight of your life, who would you want training you? Eddie Reynoso or Bomac? Nah, rocking with Bomac, of course. Definitely rocking with Bomac. John Parham, if Floyd took Canelo when he was about 25, 26, I think it would have been way different. Well, come on, bro. Then Floyd would have been, how old was Floyd gonna be then? He was gonna be older. So if you want to make comparisons like that, like let's just say, what if they fought each other when they was both in their prime? Canelo get his ass whooped and made to look easy, easier than what he was made to look in that one. Because if you push him forward at age, John, you gotta understand. Floyd fought him at 36. You want him to fight Canelo at 38, 39? JJ Cendejas, Canelo got schooled by Mayweather. He got sunned. Absolutely sunned. And then look, John Parham, you point out that he was too young at 23, which that's not too young. But you don't point out that Floyd Mayweather was 36. You don't point out how old he was. So Canelo, at least strength-wise, you could say this guy was at the top of his game at 23. Floyd Mayweather at 36, you can't say the same. Physically, Canelo was in his prime. Floyd Mayweather, or at least reaching his prime. Floyd Mayweather was already on his way out. John Parham, Bivol just outboxed him and kept his guard up. Either way, Floyd would won for sure. Floyd was different. 36, in my opinion. I mean, by 36 years old, he had slowed down a little bit and was more, I would say, defensive oriented. But still, Floyd Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol both beat him. So it's like people try to put the focus on guys that Terrence Crawford beat, even two guys that he stopped. Try to put a negative spin on it, bro. But he beat those people. Like 10 years later, people are still bringing up Gamboa. Like, yo, Gamboa rocked him. Gamboa rocked him. Bro, that was over 10 years ago. Literally over 10 years ago. If I'm not mistaken, he fought Gamboa like in 2014, bro. Like in the beginning of 2014 or in the ending of 2013. That's how long ago he beat. Bro, there's people that brought up Gamboa that wasn't even watching boxing back then. They just heard somebody else say, yo, Gamboa hurt him. So they saying it too. Motherfucker, you wasn't even watching boxing 10 years ago. Oh, Lace. I agree, John. Mayweather also drained Canelo at 152. Was already having trouble making 154. JJ said that's Jay Smith. If you will train with Eddie Reynoso, you will be disqualified. You will pop dirty. I mean, he the plug. I'll be strong as hell, though. Kind crush. Wouldn't size really matter? Look what happened with Canelo versus Bivol. Shit, wouldn't Canelo versus Crawford be a tragedy? Good morning, Jay Smith. I mean, I'm gonna tell you why that's not a good comparison. When you look at Dimitri Bivol, he's a tall guy who's been at that division, and Canelo moved up. He outboxed him, but if you look at his reach, his length, he put a lot of hands on Canelo. Wow. While Canelo was outside trying to move his head, trying to get on the inside. That was like the story of the fight. Canelo getting hands put on. And he was fighting back. He landed some good punches, but still he was eating a whole lot. That was the story of the fight. So I see it playing out in similar fashion. Terrence Crawford putting all type of hands on Canelo at a distance, where he can't reach, where he can't do what he normally does. J. Will, Fernando Vargas by 23 years old for Winky Right Tito, Oscar, and like the man had to go through murderer's row. But that's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. The notion that Canelo was 23 and too young, well, that's like a sore loser narrative. And John Parham, I'm not telling you being a sore loser, but that's like a sore loser narrative because at the end of the day, he got completely outclassed by Floyd Mayweather at an age where he already had over 47 fights, already fought world champions, but now he's too young. You, you, you don't got 44 fights in the bag, 44 and 0, or 40 and 0, whatever it was, beat former world champions and everything, but you're too young when you step up to the plate. Nah. It's too hard to sell that one. JJ's in the house. Fernando Vargas got rushed too fast. Jay, thanks, thanks for the mentioning, Fernando. He's a good friend of the family. Listen, bro, Fernando Vargas is somebody who I got mad respect for. I've actually hit him up privately, and he shared a couple of my stories, as a matter of fact, on IG. So I respect Fernando Vargas, man, and what he's doing with his sons. I don't know if he's gonna get all three of them to become world champions. You see that Emiliano Vargas is already on his way. Fernando Vargas Jr. These kids, they can fight, man. They can all fight. And Fernando Vargas is playing. He's playing the main role in that development process. So salute to Fernando Vargas. An icon and doing his thing with his sons, man. You love to see it. John Parra, I want you to do commentary on Mickey Ward fight. I'm gonna do Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. The one, oh, okay, the one against, yeah, Ontario Gotti, Arturo Gotti, you mean, right? Vargas is a dog, hell of a bloodline. Yo, Fernando Vargas, man, I do believe that he went up against Tito Trinidad too soon in his career. I believe that because at that age, if I'm not mistaken, he was either 21, maybe 21. At that age, you saw he gave Tito Trinidad a heck of a fight. Dropped him, hurt him. But he was too young. He just wasn't ready. They should have gave him a little bit more time for that type of fight. Because at that time, Tito Trinidad's a pound for pound fighter. It's tough for you to take a 20-year-old kid and put him up against a pound for pound fighter. That's tough. But Tito Trinidad, he was a dog, my people. One of my favorite fights from Tito Trinidad was when he moved up to 154 and immediately challenged undefeated world champion, Olympic medalist. Did he win an Olympic gold medalist or silver? David Reed. Let me know, chat. Did David Reed win an Olympic gold or an Olympic silver? I think it was gold, if I'm not mistaken. If y'all could refresh my recollection on that one. John Parham. Mickey had more heart than many. Love seeing him in the ring. Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. That fight always, when people talk about big showdowns like that, that always comes up. JJ Stenhouse, Fernando Vargas was 22 years old when he fought Trinidad. Look at that, 22 years old. In there with a number one pound for pound. At that time, Tito Trinidad was either number one, number two. He was hovering around there. And Fernando Vargas got in there. And look at the type of fight that he gave Trinidad. But he just didn't have the experience. Didn't have the experience. Simple as that. And then shortly after that, he fought Oscar De La Hoya, who was in his prime, destroying opponents. Fernando Vargas was about that life, my peoples. Jay Will, I'll never forget Hopkins versus Tito. The build-up where they threw the punch, the Puerto Rican flag on the ground. I thought the fans were going to string B-Hop up. Nah. I thought he was trying to sell the fight. Most people know it was about selling the fight. B-Hop, because if you think about it, B-Hop has never expressed anything negative towards Puerto Rican or towards Hispanics or nothing like that. All of the stuff for that fight, man, that was bullshit. He was selling the fight. I knew it right away. And Think about that fight, man. That's one of those where you're 100% wrong. Like, I was 100% wrong because I gave Tito Trinidad a chance to win. I thought to myself, you know what, this. But to be fair, I made an opinion about Tito Trinidad versus Bernard Hopkins, and it was an emotional opinion. I did a lot of what you guys do today. I made an emotional opinion. Why? Because I knew Hopkins was bigger, he was stronger, but it wasn't about just being big and strong. I knew how slick he was. I knew the type of boxer that he was. I knew how he uses that jab, the little things that he does on the inside, that he's gonna wrap you up, punch you in the head, frustrate you, all type of. I knew all that already, but I put it all aside for because Trinidad was my guy. One of my favorite fighters of all time is Tito Trinidad. That I was like, nah, Tito Trinidad got a chance. He could beat Hopkins. You know what? Yo, I psyched myself up. You know what? He's gonna beat him. He's gonna beat him. And then you saw that Hopkins did him in, and at times made it look easy. And you could see the difference in power was way too much. How it sounded when Tito's Trinidad's punches landed versus when Hopkins landed, boom, it was a different sound. So sometimes I think we all make that mistake, that we make a prediction based on emotions. That time I made that mistake. Canelo Crush. Important who really won, Trinidad or De La Hoya in the fight, Jay Smith. What you think? I felt like De La Hoya won that fight. Felt like De La Hoya won it. I watched it live, from my house. He won that fight, in my opinion. But there's only one thing I do not like, and why I feel like De La Hoya allowed it to be taken from him. You remember what he did in the championship rounds, jumping on the bicycle and just running away, allowed Trinidad to chase him and catch him with some punches. You gave away the championship rounds. Just gave them away. And I understand if your team felt like you were ahead on the cards, but we don't expect a world champion, a reigning world champion like Oscar De La Hoya to go into running mode in the championship rounds. You see, that's running mode. Shakur doesn't run. It's people who don't know shit about boxing who say that. What De La Hoya did in the last two rounds versus Tito Trinidad, that's running because he was barely throwing any punches. That's it. He was just whoa, 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 whoa. That's it. He didn't win any of those rounds, those last two rounds. So regardless of how far ahead we thought he was on the cards, to me there's no way Trinidad could catch up because he was putting on a masterclass on him. But damn, you're a world champion in there with your rival. You guys are rivals in a unification fight. And you do that in the championship rounds. Shame on you. You allow the judges to take it from you. JJ Sanders, you are correct, Jay Smith, on that fight. De La Hoya gave up the last three rounds. Come on. And you're a world champion fighting. And Trinidad, to his credit, even though I felt he lost the first half of the fight and was losing the second half of it too, but the whole time he was applying pressure, dictating the pace, going forward, throwing punches. And then for those last few rounds that he won them, according to the judges, he took it away from Oscar right there. That's it. That's not the way that that fight should have played out, but Oscar gave it away. Gave it away at the end. And I remember I think, well, I don't remember because, that was such a long time ago, but I think it was in the corner that they were telling him, like in the 10th or the 11th round. If I'm not was it his pops? I don't remember if was his pops still in his corner at that time, or he had fired him already. I don't remember. But somebody was telling him, like, yo, the fight is in the back. That's it. We good. We good. Stay away from him. And look, following what they told him in the corner, lost him the fight. And the funny thing about this is, I have been following Oscar De La Hoya, my peoples, since he became the Golden Boy. For those who don't know, Oscar De La Hoya is the Golden Boy because that year in Barcelona, he was the only American fighter to bring back a gold medal. Well, not to bring back because it was in the U.S. To win a gold medal. That's how he became the Golden Boy. So when he became a big star, I was following him right away from the moment he made his pro debut and all that. I seen that, I seen his career, the way that it developed. Was he gassed? You are correct, Jay Smith. On that fight, De La Hoya gave up the last 3 rounds. Was he gassed? Nah, bro. He was definitely not gassed. He was on his toes. He was moving. If he was gassed, he would have been more stationary. And Trinidad would have teed off on him. But if you think about round number 10, round number 11, round number 12, De La Hoya was on his toes, moving a lot. And Tito just chasing him. You don't expect it. Like I told you guys, I watched De La Hoya career from the moment he turned pro. He's never done that up until he got to Tito Trinidad. Ever. Try to win a fight by running in the last couple of rounds. He never did that. Look at his fights. De La Hoya is the guy who is out there trying to finish you, letting the hands fly. This was different. Against Tito Trinidad, he has so much respect for his power. And they were so scared of getting hit that they decided, let's jump on a bicycle and let's run out the clock. We got it. It was the wrong decision. They gave it to him. Cano Crush. Good, good, Jay Smith. You are very fair and not biased. Even the fact you're from the Caribbean. I love your show. I appreciate it, my brother. I'm not biased at all. I'm looking at the fighters. I'm looking at what happens in the ring. I'm looking at the situations. I'm analyzing it from that point of view. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what nationality, what language. None of it. Can you fight? That's what I want to know. On Lace. Yeah, I don't know why De La Hoya did that. I watched that fight live. Bro, I remember watching that fight live, and in the 11th round, I remember saying, yo, he's blowing it, bro. He's blowing it. What he doing? What he doing? Fight back. What are you doing? Like, I remember just repeating that over and over. I felt like he was blowing it. Like, what are you doing? I've never seen, at least at that point, a championship caliber fighter, a world champion, an undefeated fighter take that route, especially when he was outboxing Tito Trinidad. Why did you not outbox him for those last 2 rounds? I don't know. But they made a horrible mistake, and and they tried to get the rematch. By the way, they tried to get that rematch. Tito Trinidad, his pops, who was also his manager at the time, wasn't having it. They offered a man money, a career payday, like $30 million or something like that. And they were like, nah, sorry. In fact, I remember Oscar De La Hoya even went to Puerto Rico. He flew to Puerto Rico to try to convince Trinidad to do the rematch. We never got it. That's Look, I'm gonna tell you guys like this. That's one of those fights that it was a huge fight and it was a close and controversial ending, and we never got a rematch. Because there's times where how many times have we seen a great fight between great fighters and we get a rematch? A bunch of times. That happens all the time. But every once in a while, one of the two fighters decide that they're gonna duck that rematch. You see Tank Davis right now with Lamar Roach. Duck the rematch. But in most cases, great fighters, when they have that type of fight, look at Floyd Mayweather, gave Maidana the rematch because people felt he lost that. Gave Castillo the rematch because people felt he lost that fight. He didn't want to give Oscar the rematch. He was like, nah, I'm not doing this one. This split decision was too close for my taste. JJ's in the house. Hit the like button, my peoples. Come on now. That like button that's up there, bam, or double tap the screen. Bop, bop. Come on now. Fuck out of here. So, my peoples, with 2 weeks away from Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, can we say that this fight is going to be the most watched of this entire year? Is there a fight? And I'm talking about real fights. You cannot bring up the Tank Davis and Jake Paul exhibition show. Okay? That doesn't count. That's not a real fight. Is there any real fight that is going to be more viewed than Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford this whole year? I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think so. I don't think so. This is one of those fights where there's so much at stake, so many titles that have been won by these two world champions. Both guys who've been number one at the pound for pound list. To be honest, I don't even know when's the last time two guys who've been number one faced each other off. Two guys who both been undisputed went against each other. I don't remember when was the last time those type of accomplishments met up in the ring. I would have to Google it. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you, my people. And I'm the human algorithm. I'm Jay Stradamus. So all of these accomplishments, you're gonna see, fireworks. You're gonna see the sweet science at the highest level. You're gonna see the tools and resources both fighters are gonna bring the best they have to the table. Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, my peoples. In 2 weeks, we're about to witness a historic showdown. People don't understand what. That's the one thing that I think is funny. Sometimes history happens in front of you, and you don't even realize that you're watching history. So you don't pay attention to it like you should. Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is a fight that in 20 years they're gonna be talking about it. In 50 years, they still gonna be talking about it. You see how Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier is gonna be spoken about forever? This is one of those. It's that type of historic fight. A guy who moved up 2 divisions to challenge to become undisputed in a third division. You know what that is, man. They're gonna make a movie out of this. Terrence Crawford beats Canelo Alvarez. At some point in time, they're gonna make a movie about this nigga. Watch. That's the type of historical accomplishment that we're talking about. My peoples, you already know it, man. In 2 weeks, we're gonna enjoy a historic performance from Terrence Buck Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. I appreciate everyone tuning in. You know this is Box Center, your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. Don't forget to hit that like button, my people. Stop playing with me. I know that Tank Davis ducked Lamont Roach. That don't mean you gotta duck that like button. JJ's in the house. That's right, Jay Smith. Or boxing politics. We'll try to play it down. Come on, man. There's people, I already understand how it goes. There's people out there that are specifically focusing on discrediting and diminishing everything Terrence Crawford does. That's why I asked somebody, yo, these people get paid to do that? Like what are you getting from lying about a fighter, from making up a whole fake narrative about it? And it's like that. JJ said, God bless you, Jay Smith, and the Box Center family. Boxing, men's health, and health. Let's go, my peoples. Y'all already know what it is. This was a special Sunday edition. just to talk about this historic fight that's about to happen in 2 weeks, man. I'm super excited. I can't wait. I hope you guys will be ready for what's coming up. I already told ya, Bud Crawford is gonna beat Canelo Alvarez. Put the base on him. Yo, I try to tell you what it was Crawford versus Arrow. I'm trying to tell you now. You don't want to believe it, you're gonna get your feelings hurt. My peoples, I'm gonna see ya tomorrow. Yo, next episode of Boxing for Breakfast, as it usually is gonna be lit. Tomorrow, look, it's at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. I know I'll be telling y'all at 6 o'clock in the morning, but we doing it at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. Let's get it, my peoples. Tomorrow's episode of Boxing for Breakfast is gonna be lit up. So make sure you tune in. And by the way, I dropped a video, dropped a couple of shorts. Check them out. You know what it is. Box Center is your favorite boxer show for a reason. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button. Share all this content. My peoples, I'm getting the hell out of here. Happy Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.